Okay. All glories to Mother Ratasha. All glories to the religion of love. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Supreme Lord God. O Lord, please help us live out these teachings and be an example of love in the world. Jai. Okay. I'm very excited for this class. As I said before, the first book I ever read was the Peace Book. And, oh, boy, did it have a huge impact and is still impacting my life. And daily do these teachings help me not to suffer in my mind and to experience more love, peace, and joy on a daily basis. So if any of you who know me personally think I'm a very happy dude, this is the reason why. So, welcome, brother. So if you have the PDF open, or if you're following the screen share, we're on page 76. And if you remember from last week, Rajak Khan, he was in a situation where he couldn't control his anger, and he felt a failure and a fraud that he couldn't live out the master's teachings of controlling his anger. And and for beginning, she did ask of me, this anger that afflicts you so, can you say from where it comes? Then I did tell of my enemies, of how they tried to take my land and cut my trees, and all they said and all they did, the problems they had caused, and how hard I tried to solve these, but no solutions could I see. First, solve your anger, for your anger makes you blind. Then solutions will you see. How, I asked, am I to solve my anger when these people try me so? Why give to those you call your enemies a power that they do not have? And repeating that we might well hear, she said again, no one can make you angry. They only show to you, as in a mirror, the anger that is yours. Go deeper now, she said to me, and feel your anger if you can. And I could not, till thinking on my enemies, of what was said and what was done, a rage arose in me. And seeing all, she asked of me, where are your enemies? For none are here, nor anger was, till thinking made it so. Know this truth and understand. It's not what others say or do, the gain and loss that comes of life, that cause your pain, your angers, and your fears. It's what you think of what they say or what they do that cause your pain, your angers, and your fears. The enemies you wish to flee are deep inside of you. Though hearing, I heard not, and so denied the truth, nor would admit it was my thoughts that brought up the hate I hid within myself. Beware, she warned, a man of God who knows not how to cast out demons from his heart, those thoughts that bring up hate and fear, the dark destroyers that do haunt the minds of men, then you, by force of fear, of anger, and of hate, will try to turn the world from worldly ways. Sooner could you turn the tide or move the moon than change the world with hate and fear to love. For hate begets but hate, and fear fulfilled is fear. As the fig tree brings forth figs alone, a bitter seed produces only bitter fruit. History proves that in God's name every horror known to man is done. Terror, torture, murder. The very gates of hell are loosed by those who do deny that the devils that they fight are deep within themselves. And she to me, that I might hear, did ask, if the pipe is dirty, can the water it brings forth come clear? But still I would not hear, and hard my heart, leaving the lesson unlearnt, and I upon my way. And straightway I left that place, and going forth I did determine to be master to myself, and conquer over hate and fear. For great my strength, and even greater was my will. And a city I did enter to preach God's holy word. But when I preached, none would hear and none believe, but laughing made a joke of me. And laughter is the cruelest blow. And as I spoke the words of love and peace, there did arise in me such anger that to control the wind could more easily be done than to keep control of me. And it was only by the grace of God that I did stop, and stopping saw myself, and heard again the Master's words that warned, if you deny the demons in yourself, and cast not out your angers and your fears, which others show to you, surely in God's name others will you blame, persecute, punish, and reject. And my eyes were opened, and I saw and knew that what the Master had foretold to me was true. And I departed out of that place, and went to search the Master, and by evening I came upon her sitting surrounded by disciples. And seeing me coming from afar, she came out to meet me. And I fell down at her feet, and confessed myself, that by my own will my anger I could not contain. My rage I could not swallow. And putting her hand upon my head, she blessed me, and had compassion on me, saying, do you not know that to swallow anger is as the swallowing of poison? And on her face I saw not reproach, but love, as a mother loves a child. Then I again lamented of myself, and felt a failure before all. And she with patience said, though you walk upon the path made straight, the path by which a man may come again to God, still are you as a child, who learning to walk will fall down many times before he's grown. Rise up again and follow me. Yet still I stayed in guilt and shame, till stretching forth her hand, once again she called to me. Come, she said, cast off your guilt and shame, for guilt and shame are of the world, and not of God. And I arose and followed her, and guilt and shame I left behind, and following came to a place not of lamentation, but of knowledge. Okay, let's go back. Excuse me. Okay. And for beginning she did ask of me, this anger that afflicts you so, can you say from where it comes? Then I did tell of enemies, of how they tried to take my land and cut my trees, and all they said and all they did, the problems they had caused, and how hard I tried to solve these, but no solutions could I see. I remember the threefold miseries of life, miseries caused by our own minds and bodies, by nature, and by other people. And I'm sure we've all experienced lots of problems by other people that just drive us crazy, right? First, solve your anger, for your anger makes you blind. And there's a good story in this connection Mother Atasha taught us. She once was invited, with all these other religious leaders in the world, to some summit in Israel or Jerusalem to speak. And so on one of those days of that summit, she was invited, she and Rajak, to the home or the headquarters of the Baha'i organization. And she met with the leader of the Baha'i, or one of the top leaders. And this man was so sectarian, so prideful and hateful of all other religions. He was talking trash on this religion, saying bad things about that religion, being critical of these people, that people. And he was totally distorting the scriptures. He didn't know anything about the scriptures, but he was blaspheming heavily. And Mother Atasha got so angry at this man. And Mother Atasha, who was the Holy Scriptures incarnate, she knew all the Scriptures so well. She spoke directly from her heart all the Scriptures, and knew from inner meaning, all the understanding she had fully realized, and she couldn't remember anything. She couldn't defeat this guy in any argument. She couldn't remember anything, and that was a good lesson she told to us, that she learned that when you get angry, you lose all intelligence. So, first solve your anger, for your anger makes you blind. You're going to forget everything useful to say. You're going to make a fool and make plenty of mistakes if you're angry. And haven't we all experienced that it's hard to have an intelligent, sensible conversation with someone when someone's angry? Cool down first, right? So first solve your anger, and then solutions will you see. How, I asked, am I to solve my anger when these people try me so? Right? Why give to those you call your enemies a power that they do not have? And this is important to understand. People are responsible for what they do. People are responsible for what they say. But they're not the responsible party for how we feel. That's on us. And they do not inject these bad feelings into us, It's not like taking a needle full of hate. Now you're angry. No. No, our feelings, they come from within our own selves. And repeating that we might well hear, she said again, no one can make you angry. They only show to you, as in a mirror, the anger that is yours. Now, I've used this analogy before. The mind is like a supercomputer, data storage, if you will. And it says it in the future, we're going to read in a couple pages later, that the mind is a storehouse of memory that remembers everything you've ever experienced, right? Now, if you plug in a hard drive, you cannot access any files that aren't already on the hard drive, right? Only what's already in there can you access and pull up that file, right? Well, that's the same with our emotions. All of these feelings, all of this pain, anger, fear, hate, anxiety, trauma, all these things are already there inside of us, in our mind. No one's putting them in. No one's plugging a USB into your brain and downloading a bunch of negativity. No, that's already there. And if you remember from last week's story of the Enlightened One, when he came across those villagers who mistook him for someone else and said all these terrible things to him, and then he was calm and chill, and they were so taken aback, like, how come he didn't react like so angrily like anybody else would have done? And he said, well, sorry I disappoint you, but if only you knew me earlier, then I might have had some anger left to give you, but now I don't have any. So an enlightened person, a self-realized soul, a person who isn't burdened by the contamination of fear and anger, they've done the work. They've purified all this stuff out of the mind. They've cleansed their hard drive. That sea cleaner that wiped all that junk out. And that is what the process of spiritualization mostly is working on the mind, letting go of all these things not of love that have covered our original consciousness and bar us from experiencing eternality, full conscious knowledge, ecstatic bliss, love. So people who do bad things, who say bad things, and surely, yes, we're not condoning what anybody says and does. There's a lot of terrible things in this world. We all know that. And there's a lot of crazy, dumb people, angry people, foolish people that try us so, that push our buttons, that trigger us, right? But it says here, they only show to you as in a mirror the anger that is yours. They might say something offensive. They might do something nasty or terrible. But the feeling that comes up when we experience that, that is something that was already there. 99%. There's some things that happen in the moment, sure, but 99% of all that negativity in us was already there, just right under the surface. And they're just the mirror that shows to us what was hidden within. Now, later on, at the end of commenting, having class on this peace book, we're going to share the peace process. It's a worksheet that helps us to go through our minds and purify all this negativity and cleanse it all out for good. And in that, we have knowledge and understanding that all of these people that test and try us, they're not a curse. They're actually a blessing. Every one of them. I know it's hard to think of it that way, especially in the moment. Oh, especially in the moment. We get so angry. We see all these crazy, they just drive you mad, right? In that moment, it's so hard to see because why? We get angry and we lose all intelligence. When you're in the feeling, when you're experiencing it, it's hard to remember this knowledge, these teachings. But in hindsight, we usually remember, and in practice, it gets better and better. We catch ourselves as soon as all these negative feelings come up, all these painful feelings and thoughts. And we recognize everyone as a blessing, for they are helping show to us what was hidden within, just underneath the surface. They're just, you could say, yes, they are the trigger, in a sense, that they are what helped us to find what was hidden within. But they're not the guilty party for how we feel. Our feelings are on us. And they all come from our thoughts. And I could not, till thinking on my enemies, or she says, go deeper now, she said to me, and feel your anger if you can. And I could not, till thinking on my enemies, of what was said and what was done, a rage arose in me. Yeah. Imagine y'all are just chilling, having a nice day, right? And then something reminds you, or unhappy little minds remind us of some very negative memory, of some awful past experience, or you remember what someone said, and even though you're having a good day, all of a sudden now you're feeling all this negativity. Now you're not feeling good at all, right? And they're not even here, as she says. And seeing all, she asked of me, and where are your enemies? For none are here, nor anger was till thinking made it so. Just thinking about what was said in the past. I mean, someone can say something or do something awful that you've experienced, and you could be reliving all that pain hundreds of times over, daily even. Seriously. How much people suffer in their minds. This is a great disease in the world, and people suffer so greatly. Know this truth and understand. It's not what others say or do, the gain and loss that comes of life, that cause your pain, your angers, and your fears. It's what you think of what they say or what they do that cause your pain, your angers, and your fears. The enemies you wish to flee are deep inside of you. Now, practical example. Let's say, and I've used this example of someone on a bus, with a bunch of people on a bus, and here comes a crazy drunk person, belligerent and noisy and cursing and smelly, right? And everybody on that bus is now having all these different thoughts and all these different feelings, right? Now, most people will be offended, most people will be disgusted, but then perhaps some guy knows the guy, right? And he's got a little empathy because he knows he's in a hard situation. Oh, that poor guy. Oh man, look at poor dude. He's really gone down. Oh, that poor dude. So one person might be having compassion, and another person might be like, oh, what a jerk. Gosh, get off the bus, right? All by how we're thinking. So remember, it's not what others say or do, it's what we think about these things, our thoughts, that cause our pains, our angers, and our fears. Now we're going to get into more mind control and mind purification. Though hearing, I heard not, and so denied the truth, nor would admit it was my thoughts that brought up the hate I hid within myself. Yeah, this is a hard lesson. This is a tough pill to swallow. We're so accustomed to blaming others, blaming things outside of us for how we're feeling, for all of our problems, for our misery. We don't want to think negatively of ourselves, right? We want to think very positive of ourselves. We don't want to think I'm in the wrong. We don't want to think that I have a dirty mind. No, not dirty in a sleazy sense, but dirty as in contaminated by all these negative thoughts. We don't want to think that of ourselves. That's why it really takes someone very courageous, very brave, very strong to look at themselves. And very intelligent too, to see that it is they themselves that are causing their own miseries, really, within their own mind. Beware, she warned, a man of God who knows not how to cast out demons from his heart, those thoughts that bring up hate and fear, the dark destroyers that do haunt the minds of men, then you, by force of fear, of anger, and of hate, will try to turn the world from worldly ways, right? So again, if we don't take ownership and see that we are the responsible parties for how we're feeling, for our own suffering, and we continue to blame outside of ourselves and say, well, the problem is a society, I have to change society. The problem is that there's people of different religion, I need to force them to convert or kill them. This mentality, right? The idea that everyone else is wrong, so I need to change everybody else. Never looking at ourselves. What's that saying from Gandhi? Be the change you wish to see in the world. It all starts within ourselves. Sooner could you turn the tide or move the moon than change the world with hate and fear to love. Yeah, that's going to work. Yeah. Put a bunch of hate and violence into the world. Act out of all that dark negativity from your mind. That fear, that hate. Yeah, act out of that, and what will you get? Hate begets but hate. Fear fulfilled is fear. As the fig tree brings forth figs alone, a bitter seed produces only bitter fruit. It's very practical. And some of these people in ignorance, they think, well, the ends justify the means. That's absolute nonsense. The means will be the end you're going to get. So if your means is a way of violence, thinking through all this hate and killing and judgmental condemnation and criticism of others is going to bring about peace and love in the end, oof, you're in the darkness of illusion. History proves that in God's name every horror known to man is done. Terror, torture, murder, the very gates of hell are loosed by those who do deny that the devils that they fight are deep within themselves. Yeah, part of the reason why people are so burnt out by religion in general, even that word religion is such a triggering word, right? Even the word religion brings up our hate. See, that word becomes a mirror to our own pains and angers, our own anxieties, our own past traumas, because of people who deny that the devils that they fight are deep within themselves. The word devil is actually an Aramaic word. It's the language that Jesus spoke. And devil, translated, literally means negative thought. All along, the devils are always inside of us, not some personified, horned-tailed creature with a pitchfork. In Islam, the word jihad is interpreted as holy war, and those who deny that the devils that are inside themselves, not outside, they think that they can solve their problems or fulfill God's mission by going out and killing people different than themselves. This is jihad. I'm committing jihad. This is nonsense. Jihad It does mean holy war, but it's not an external thing. Religion, the spiritual path, is all internal. It's completely internal. It's nothing to do with outside of you. It's all in here. And it's about the fight of the good within you against the evil within you. That's that holy war that every devotee of God fights daily. That's why you have to be so brave. You got to be a warrior to be successful in spiritual life. Love is not a weak thing. It's the strongest thing. And those who are successful on this path are the strongest of all, internally. And she said to me that I might hear, did ask, if the pipe is dirty, can the water it brings forth come clear? If our minds are still filled with all the dirty things of this world, still contaminated with anger and fear and hate and all this negativity, well, will our words and our works be free from all of that tainted negativity? No. Purify your mind and heart, and then all your words and works will be coming from love, for you've purified all the things not of love. This is our work here. But still I would not hear and hard my heart, leaving the lesson unlearned. Yeah. It takes time. Sometimes we got to hear the lesson many times before it finally clicks, I tell you. And like I said, especially when you're in that moment, when things come up in that moment, it's so hard to remember this because now you're just anger. And then we feel justified in our anger. We rationalize, I should be angry. It's my right. I deserve to be angry. This guy's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you rationalize. But they are rational lies that we tell ourselves. We're lying to ourselves. We're blaming outside again instead of looking within. And I upon my way, and straightway I left that place, and going forth that I determined to be master myself and conquer over hate and fear. For great my strength, and even greater was my will. And a city I did enter in to preach God's holy word, but when I preached none would hear, none believe, but laughing made a joke of me. And laughter is the cruelest blow. And as I spoke the words of love and peace, there did arise in me such anger, that to control the wind could more easily be done than to keep control of me. Arjuna says to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, to control the wind would be easier than for me to control my own mind. This is so hard. And really, it is very hard. It's very difficult to control our mind, but it's not impossible. It is possible. It takes hard work. It takes diligence. It takes daily vigilance. It takes knowledge and using the tools given unto us. But it is possible to control the mind. And a Swami, or Goswami, which is a title given to a holy person, is someone who has controlled their mind and senses. They are not controlled by it. That's what the meaning of Swami means, actually. And every one of us can be a Swami. In fact, we already are, just covered over. Just uncover it, do the work. And it was only by the grace of God that I did stop, and stopping saw myself, and heard again the Master's words that warned, if you deny the demons in yourself, and cast not out your angers and your fears, which others show to you, surely in God's name others will you blame, persecute, punish, and reject. Again, we are responsible for all of this. It's all coming from our own thoughts. And we're going to blame others, we're going to persecute others, we're going to punish them, reject them, because we cannot come to terms that it is our own thoughts that are causing that bad way we feel. But we don't have to feel that way anymore. Wouldn't it be nice to be free completely of anger, be free of fear, completely free of hate? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, it's very possible. In fact, it is the destiny of every person in this world. This is the destiny that God is calling all of us to. Oop, I'm going a little over, but let me just go ahead. Finish this real fast. And my eyes were opened, and I saw and knew that what the Master had foretold to me was true. And I departed out of that place and went to search the Master, and by evening I came upon her sitting around, surrounded by disciples. And seeing me coming from afar, she came out to meet me, and I fell down at her feet and confessed myself that by my own will and my anger I could not contain. My rage I could not swallow. What is it a common thing we do? Just suck it up. Yeah, just swallow it, just deal with it and forget about it. It doesn't work. In fact, that's a terrible teaching. Especially men, when we're boys, we're told just suck it up. Don't cry. Men don't cry. Suck it up. Don't feel that. No, that's terrible. And then it just gets bottled up inside. And even though we deny it, that it's even there, even though we completely ignore it, try not to think about it, it's still there. Like a poison. It's still there, poisoning us until we remove it. And how we remove it is the peace process, which, again, still alluding to that. And putting her hand upon my head, she blessed me and had compassion on me, saying, Do you not know that to swallow anger is as the swallowing of poison? And on her face I saw not reproach, but love, as a mother loves a child. Then I again lamented of myself and felt a failure before all. And she with patience said, Though you walk upon the path made straight, the path by which a man may come again to God, still are you as a child, who learning to walk will fall down many times before he's grown. Rise up again and follow me. So, we don't stick the landing on this peace process right at the first attempt. We're going to fall down a bunch of times. We're going to mess up. We're going to probably have to practice again and 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 again until we finally get it right. But that's what it takes. Practice makes perfect. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. How do you become spiritually realized? Spiritual practice, spiritual practice, spiritual practice. Yet still I stayed in guilt and shame. So stretching forth her hand, once again she called to me, Come, she said, cast off your guilt and shame, for guilt and shame are of the world and not of God. Guilt, shame, anger, fear, anxiety, trauma, all this, anything not a positive, loving, good thing, you can just lump all in the same category. All the ignorance which covers our mind, all of that. And I arose and followed her, and guilt and shame I left behind, and following came to a place not of lamentation, but of knowledge. I should stop there because I'm going a little over. 1 second. Pause this. Okay. So, I wish I could share more, but does anybody have any questions for what we shared so far?
I don't have any questions, but I'll contribute by agreeing with you on the fact that, yeah, it's very easy to sit here and relive moments of one's past and torture yourself over it, or myself over it. And like I said, on a daily basis and all that kind of stuff, it's not healthy for the mind, and I know it's not healthy for the body. Whatever is not healthy for the mind is not healthy for the body. But yeah, I agree, and I just wanted to say that was something good to hear, so I appreciate it. Sorry, I don't have any questions. Just
Oh,
like an affirmation.
oh, well, that's wonderful. Yeah, thanks for sharing, brother. And so glad you joined us. See, that's what we usually do. We usually default to what's quick and easy. The quick thing that we want, that instant gratification, that instant result, because we're lazy creatures of habit, right? If we're not feeling good, what do we immediately want to do? We want to just do whatever the quickest thing we can get out of that feeling and into a better feeling, right? Let me just terrible feeling. Okay, let me go and smoke a joint or drink a beer or play some games, take my mind off of it, right? We want to just distract ourselves. That's really all we're doing. We're just distracting ourselves and just momentarily stopping that negative feeling, but it's still there. It's not going away. And it won't go away until we do the actual work, the hard work of really going deep into our mind, facing, feeling those feelings, finding the thoughts that brought those feelings up, changing those thoughts, and then praying to God, calling on His holy name to purify our mind so that the new positive loving thought will stick. And you can't skip that part of calling God's name and asking Him for help. You can't skip it, because the mind is too powerful. As it says, it's easier to control the wind than control my mind. We really need help. We really do. The illusory energy of this world is insurmountable. So we really need God to pretty much carry us to surmount this mountain of ignorance that we find ourselves in within our own consciousness. And it takes a lot of hard work and diligence. Like I said, we're creatures of habit. We have such conditioning to default to the easy, quick thing, for the easy, quick gratification, and ignore the real cause of how we feel. But if we do the hard work, if we look within ourselves, if we change those negative thoughts, not blame outside, but look at ourselves really, and those negativities, those negative feelings and thoughts go away, well, now you're just lighter. Now those things aren't going to come back and haunt you again. You're not going to be so angry as you were the next time around. In fact, sometimes you have to do the peace process multiple times for the same issues. And again, I hope you all stick around for when we get to that peace process. It's a really awesome tool. I mean, gosh, God bless Mother Atasha for that process. And I use all the time. And it really, really works. Believe me, it works. But yeah, we all want the quick fix, right? We all want the diet pill, instant results. No, it's not how it works. You'll just get instant temporary numbness, but you'll still have the problem, and it's still going to be there. It ain't going nowhere. So thank you for sharing, brother. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions or another affirmation to share or comment?
I have a kind of like a comment and maybe a half question.
Sure.
The way I always saw it was that people do what they think is right. Because, I mean, no one does something. It's like, oh, this is not going to benefit me in some way, so I'm going to do that. That's usually how I see it. And so when somebody does something that might make me angry, I usually think they're probably doing that because they either don't know any better. And so in that situation, I'd want to pity them and kind of hope that they do understand what they did was wrong. Or they just think it's better for them to do that. And so that's how I always thought of it.
And thinking in that way, how did that make you feel? Or how does that usually make you feel?
Well, I don't usually end up getting angry. I understand some people have their shortcomings, and it's just something I have to live with. And it's my duty to help them if I'm in a situation to tell them, hey, I don't feel like this is good. But whether or not they hear is not up to me. And in the same sense, I also have a thing where if I do get angry about something, if the day has passed, I don't really hold on to it. It's a new day. There's no reason to hold on to it if it's already gone. If that makes sense.
Oh, it's fascinating. And good on you, brother. See, wonderful example, everybody. How he's thinking is giving him the experience that he has in this world. How we think really creates our life. So by thinking in this terms of, having understanding, empathy, compassion, as though they just don't know better. Like the example again of Jesus on the cross, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. Jesus himself had compassion on everybody because he knew they were in ignorance. They didn't know better. They thought they were doing better because what they were thinking was an illusion. They were thinking incorrectly. They were not using their mind properly because their mind was contaminated with all these angers and fears. And so he had compassion on them. And instead of being angry, instead of being bitter for crucifying him, torturing him, he had compassion, he had love, and he prayed for their welfare. So wonderful, brother. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, how we think will bring forth how we feel. Again, then we're going to get to that in a moment in the next class, or unless we read a little more, I don't know. But all of our feelings don't just come out of the ether. They don't just pop up. Oh, where'd this feeling come from? Oh, now I'm feeling bad. No, they come from our own thoughts. Whatever you think, that will bring forth a feeling. And whatever you're feeling, that will drive you to act. And however you act, reactions will come back to you. So starting from your thoughts, you pretty much create your entire life experience. You manifest everything into your life, beginning with your thoughts. We'll get more into that soon. Anyone else have a question or comment? Thank you for that, brother, by the way.
I have something to add. Is according to what Amit said, I experienced the same thing. It was hard for me to have sympathy and compassion for others. It was very hard, especially if those people who said things that trick me and make me angry, upset, or even hurt me with their words. I was just practicing, and finally I found out that I have to have sympathy with them and understand where they are coming from. Maybe they went through lots of hardship and lots of trauma everyone can experience in this world.
What?
And trying to find the good thing, even tiny good thoughts about them. Can be about their work, there can be about their maybe skills, maybe they are a little rough and they can speak nice with others, but they might be very, for example, have a good skill in something. They are a good painter, they're a good musician, or something like that. So it helped me to find good thoughts about them, or even their dress, or anything even tiny that might not be important to in our eyes, but that helped me a lot. And for my own experiences, people who are closer to me is having this process of peace within myself and finding that it's not all them that make me angry or upset or any negative feeling. It's a little hard, but I'm working on it because maybe I have some expectation from people who are close to me. But still, it really helped me to find good thoughts about them, and it was lots of people who were part of the family members, and I didn't do anything bad to them. I always share love and support, but for some reason they couldn't understand, and still they were rough to me. By doing this process in my mind, I have lots of love. I mean, the love came and pushed the anger and hate or frustration away from me. So it was my experience to share.
Okay, thank you. My wife is familiar with the peace process. I know I keep saying this peace process. Aaron here, he's also familiar with it. This peace book, all the knowledge we're going to share each week, is kind of setting the foundation for when we bust out this wonderful tool, which pretty much takes all this teachings, all this knowledge that we're going over every weekend, bit by bit in the peace book, and pretty much amalgamates it all into a little worksheet, an actual you fill in the blank worksheet, which is brilliant, and it actually works really well. And part of that is to change your thoughts, is to find one good, true, loving thought about another person, which my wife was sharing some of her experience. So yeah, even people close to us, even so-called family members and friends, they hurt us the most, right? It's a knife closest to you that digs the deepest. And Mother Tasha also says in the books, which also, again, knowledge helps us have compassion, helps us change our thinking, that all actions come from love or the need of it. All actions come from love or the need of it. So, one of those situations, God bless him or God help him. The need of it, that's usually, people need more love. And everything we do because we think it's going to bring us joy, or it's going to prevent us from experiencing pain. Think about that. Everything we do. Coming here to show up in class, you might think, oh, well, I may enjoy some of this. Or maybe if I show up to class, I can avoid some suffering, or, clear away some karma, I don't know. But every action we make, from the smallest things to tying your shoes to the big hard decisions in life, the big financial moves, the big relationship commitments, all come from us wanting to experience pleasure or avoid pain, or actions out of love or the need of love. And having this knowledge is very helpful in turning our minds to a compassionate tune, when realizing that everybody is suffering. Everybody. I mean, every single one of us, our minds are so full of angers, fears, stresses, worries, problems after problems. Everybody. Some more than most. I mean, unless you are a self-realized, enlightened soul, we all got these dirty, contaminated minds. Our consciousness is so covered over. And when our consciousness is covered over like that, when we don't experience the natural state of the soul, which is eternal, full of knowledge and blissful, we suffer. I mean, we're fish out of water. Water being consciousness, a pure, original spiritual consciousness. We suffer. So everyone's suffering. Everybody's suffering. Everyone's hurting on some level. And that helps us have compassion that, the guy who says some terrible thing to you, the guy who's such an annoyance or disturbance, or the family member who's always causing terrible problems. Well, if you stop for a second, just freeze for a moment, all the things going on, and just look, just observe. Usually you'll see that these people, they're not happy people. They're quite miserable, actually. And misery likes company, does it not? People like to share that misery with others. So it helps us to have compassion on others when we have knowledge that people are acting out of their suffering and they just don't know better. They're ignorant. They're an illusion. We all are. We make many mistakes, as Mother Tasha said. Like children, you're going to fall many times on this path. As we said before, when you come to spiritual life, when you fully surrender your life unto God and accept a spiritual master, a bona fide master, and take unto yourself the vows and practices for all your life to purify your heart, make yourself straight before God. That's what the path made straight means. You make yourself straight. All these crooked ways, all this nonsense, you straighten yourself out and act right, act in love. And like I said, you ain't going to stick the landing on the first shot. Oh boy. It takes time. It takes practice. A lifetime of practice. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take you a long time to come again to inner peace. It's relative. This is relativity. There's many factors going on. So how long it takes one person to fully understand, apply, practice, and make full benefit of this knowledge and purify their consciousness could be different for how long it takes another person. It's relativity, it's relative. We're all at different stages. We're all got different things going on, different variables, different degrees of consciousness that we're covered over in, different layers of ignorance that we are suffering. But we all stumble and fall. We all make mistakes until our minds are purified. There's 4 defects of the mind in conditioned consciousness: prone to make mistakes, have imperfect senses, prone to illusion, and a propensity to cheat. So this is what we all are guilty of in some way or another, gross or subtle, when our mind is not fully purified. So thank you for sharing, my love. And yes, those closest to us, it's very hard when someone's close to you, especially when someone you see on a daily basis or associate with daily. Don't they really push your buttons? Mother Atasha said, the reason why our family members push our buttons so much is because they're the ones who installed those buttons. Yeah, so it's hard when our mind gets in such a habit. Oh, the habit of the mind, oh my goodness. We default into this pattern. And then science can even back this up, that we have these neural pathways, actual channels and grooves within the brain itself that are like a neural highway of this pattern of thought. Seriously. And it's hard to break that pattern. It's hard to get off the path not taken. Imagine you're on a mountain bike and you're going down a trail. It's hard not to just go down the big grooved path that you always take, and go off that and take a different route. Takes practice.
Takes a great deal of experience to do that. Like a great deal.
Say again, brother?
I said it takes a great deal of experience to do something like that. Like only the top 10% of people who ride mountain bikes are going to be able to even notice a path that's off the main trail, no?
Oh, I'm glad I got someone here in the class that really picked up this analogy. Well, I know you're a motorcyclist, so yeah, riding a two-wheeler, you know what I'm talking about.
Just generally speaking, it doesn't even have to be motorcycle specific, but like any experience, like guitar or you guys camping, like you guys are going to be able to recognize a path. If we're all hanging out, even though you're in a bigger pickup truck and I'm on a motorcycle ride and I'm following you guys around, you might recognize a path I am not going to recognize as a path because you guys got the experience to recognize that. So, and everybody has experience in their own life, in their own way. Yeah, it's a good one.
And how do we get that experience? Practice, practice, practice. Keep at it.
Practice and practicality and like action, using it.
Right. Not being lazy. That's the thing. Not being lazy, doing the work so that instead of like the cheap quick fix that's just going to break again, you actually put in the work and fix it rightly so that you don't have to deal with that problem ever again. Right? But the big solution usually takes more work. It's a lot more precision involved, a lot more care and attention involved, more time possibly. And we just gotta really fight our own selves, fight our own laziness, fight our own habits, fight our own lies that we tell ourselves that just rationalize, oh, it's fine, I'm just gonna, and just ignore the opportunity. Every single time we experience something or someone that brings up negative feelings, that's an opportunity. That's a blessed opportunity. Don't waste that opportunity by just going with the whole repeat of the mind's, normal way of thinking and just, your comfort zone of how you usually feel. I mean, people actually get comfortable. Like they're so accustomed to feeling all these terrible things. Like They become a part of them. They feel that's part of their identity. It's illusion. And you're right, you say that the top 10%, that can do this. Well, even rarer than that, actually. It says in the Gita, out of many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, maybe one may endeavor for perfection. And out of many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of those who've actually achieved perfection, self-realization, rarely one can know God in full, can really understand the Lord, become God-realized. It's very, very rare. Spiritualization, even though it's the purpose awaiting every single one of us, it's the purpose of life, and every single one of us, that is our ultimate destiny if we make this life perfect. It's very, very rare that a soul achieves that. And yes, it's because it's not easy, definitely. But the path is actually very simple. The message of God is actually very simple. It's so simple, God gives it again and again and again. Religion, repeat. Simple but not easy. So the difficult part is the practice of it, the applying it, the remembering of it. That's the difficult part. Just following the instructions. You'd be surprised. Mother Tasha had many disciples. Not many. But she had a good number of disciples. Most fell away. They couldn't follow the instructions. They were lazy. They rationalized too much. They were too filled up with things of the world and things of their mind. Guilt and shame, anger, lust, these things. They didn't do the work, really. Jesus gave initiation to like 70, 80 people, but you only remember 12 of them. And Mary, the disciple, disciple just means discipline. That's it. That's what someone who's disciplined, who's not lazy, but he's gonna, okay, this is what work I got to do. Okay, I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna do it. It's really all it takes. If you have a bona fide spiritual master, bona fide pure devotee of God to guide you, and they give you instructions, literally all you have to do is just follow the instructions. Just follow them. And you can make life perfect and go home to God. Even in this life, you can be spiritually realized and free from the sufferings of the mind and experience that transcendental bliss within yourself. Wouldn't that be nice? That inner peace, nothing but love you experience. No anger, no fear, no hate, no anxieties. Past traumas, just all the past. All there is now. In fact, not even in the mind. Transcend the mind. That's why we chant names of God, mantra meditation. Ma means mind, tra means to transcend, to go above, beyond the mind. We purify the mind. First we purify the mind, and all the ignorance we kick out of our consciousness completely by knowledge and these practices. And then when the mind is fully cleansed and clean, well, as the analogy was, if the pipe is dirty, can the water that comes forth be clear? No. But clean that pipe, clean that channel. And then once it's clear, once you've cleared the path, then you can transcend beyond the mind. And your original spiritual consciousness, that love, will flow through. And that's every single saint, spiritual master, prophet, messenger of God, is just someone who has their mind fully cleansed. They did the work. And only love and pure consciousness going through. We're almost out of time. Does anybody have any last comment or question real fast? I can end there. Well, thank you so much all for joining us with this. Gosh, I really love this peace book teaching. And again, we're just scratching the surface. I hope you all come back next week. And we're going to build more on these teachings. And eventually, at the end of the book, like I said, we're going to do a special class just on the peace process, which is so cool. I mean, this is the best self-help tool you could possibly ever do for personal growth, for self-improvement. There's nothing tops it. You can take everything that you could ever think of in psychology, the whole library of psychology people have written, throw everything out and just replace it with one little worksheet. I'm not kidding. I know that's quite a boast, but put it to practice and you'll see for yourself. Because it's knowledge coming from that pure consciousness, not from our contaminated minds. So, thank you so much. Timer. All glories to Mother Ratasha, all glories to the religion of love, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai.
Thanks, Lydia.
Oh,
Thanks for